Hello and welcome to the BCFC Media Podcast. I'm not your usual host. I'm a temporary stand-in. I'm Tom Oxland. I do various other podcasts and whatnot, and I'm joined by Dan, who's obviously a regular, as you'll already know. You're right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks, you.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. I think Kieran and the rest of the lads are just loving up the holidays at the moment and enjoying time off. And a couple of ill and whatnot. But now we'll get straight into things anyway. Got a few topics to cover. Looking forward to this. We'll start off with the Barnsley game. We'll just do a little review of that. What were your overall thoughts coming out of the Barnsley draw?
Another one where I feel like it was it was even worse than the Stoke game because I came out the Stoke game thinking we could have won. But the Barnsley game, the chances we missed in that second half. The first half was pretty even from what I've seen, but the second half was crying out. It was crying out for a goal scorer.
Exactly.
That was all it was because we was in their half for the majority of that second half. We was just waiting for the ball to hit the back of the net, but it never came, and that a lot of the time is our biggest problem, isn't it? That although the last manager had his problems, you don't even know if he would have been in the job still if we took some of the chances we had at 1-0 up, or it's always been our problem since Adams left. So
exactly, we never replaced him at all.
Fingers crossed, a certain striker might sort that out now.
Yeah, we'll move on to that. You never know. He might have been able to pay for the stands with shirt sales. We'll have to see. But yeah, no, it's a brilliant acquisition, obviously, and we'll get onto that shortly. But my thoughts on Barnsley, I feel like it was first sort of 10, 15 minutes, I say Barnsley were probably on top. Not massively, but they just had a bit more control of the game. Obviously, it's a stunner from Callum Stars to put them ahead. But Blues grew into it. We found our regular selves, especially away from home. We're normally a lot more solid. So, yeah, we got back into the flow of things, really started to put pressure on them, and then it sort of paid dividend in the end. And Djukovic scored a very unusual goal for him, but it was very classy, stylish, flicking it over the defender and then a nice little tap in. But yeah, so you just feel like, okay, Blues back in the game. I reckon we can go and win this. And then that second half, I think Blues did everything possible other than actually score. So, it was quite painful. I suppose that leads as sort of a nice segue onto the next topic of maybe if this man was playing that game, we would have probably won like 3-1, 4-1. And that is, of course, Troy Deeney. The signing of Troy Deeney, the long-awaited signing, I think, me personally, I never thought it'd ever happen. So I'm surprised myself that it's finally happened. And I feel like it's happened at the right time, at a good time. His motivations seem very clear. And hopefully he can pull off what he wants to do. I think we're all hoping for that, to be honest. But what are your thoughts on Blue signing Deeney?
Yeah, exactly the same as you. Up until I started hearing that like there was a medical and everything, I was like, this isn't going to happen. This happens every year. I actually made a point a week or two ago. I can't remember if it was even on the podcast or someone after the recording. I was going, I'm quite surprised we haven't heard the Deeney rumour yet. But I was away at a festival last week, so I was struggling for service and everything. But now and again, I'd get a bit of connection. I saw, hold on a minute, the rumour started again now, and I'm missing
Here we
it
go.
But I can't believe it actually happened. And I think it's one, whether it goes good or goes bad, we've just got to try and enjoy this one. Because at the end of the day, I just hope that we don't put too much pressure on him. Because he's 33 now. He's not the player that he was 5 years ago. And I know he's more than capable for us to do that. I think he's immediately our best striker at the club by quite some way. No disrespect to anyone here. But he's done it in the top division. And to pay nothing for him, no transfer fee, you can't argue with that. For a free signing, we wouldn't get much better than Troy Deeney. And I just really hope it works out for him because it has got the opportunity to be a bit of a fairy tale signing.
Exactly. It's just it seems like the perfect end. Well, I say end because it's sort of a beginning of a new chapter for him, but it's sort of towards the end of his career. So yeah, it would be sort of the perfect, I suppose, way to go out of the next couple of years if he could get Blues either back pushing again at least, or if he did achieve what feels like the impossible of getting us back up there, then bloody hell, he's done a fairly good job. But that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody, but he seems to have put it on himself anyway, which is
Yeah,
interesting, since, the whole thing that was putting him off the move to Blues was pressure. And now all of a sudden it's like there's just this confidence out of nowhere that it's like, I've had this all my life. Why am I doubting myself now? So he's come into this and be like, no, F it, I'm going to do it. And hopefully that is the way it pans out. Like you said, I think either way, if it works out, if it doesn't, we'll all still love him either way. So it's fine. But we just got to enjoy it. It's a bit like a luxury player, but a bit much more hardworking than your average luxury player. So we'll have to see, but he's definitely I agree with you. I think he is the best striker we have at the club. Obviously the other strikers we have on their day are quality, but Troy Deeney, he's been there and done it. He's definitely the highest caliber of the lot. And hopefully we can see that, because I think we all know he's still got it in him. We saw glimpses of it at Watford last season. Unfortunately, he did have his fair few injury problems and fitness issues, but he had a lot of competition last season, to be fair. Whereas at Blues, I think competition will be slightly less tough. But it'd be interesting to see whether Bowyer plays him alongside Hogan or whether he plays him alongside Duke. And I do feel like that is the big question. I have my own opinion on it personally, but I'll get to that shortly. If you were given the choice, who's your front two?
it's a real difficult one because I keep thinking about it. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Because the traditional thing is to go for a big man and a more mobile man.
Yeah.
But I just, although there is a point, I do feel like we need to move on from Jukovic. At the minute, I think he's too important to us.
Yeah.
So it is really difficult. Maybe it then becomes a case of Chung has to do that run on beyond them. Or, I mean, I know it sounds like I'm sitting on the fence, but it's purely because I'm torn. I'm completely torn what to do. Whether Hogan should play because a bit more mobility, or I just think it'd be horrible to drop Jukovic at the minute because I think he's more effective than Scott Hogan at the minute for me.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. And I feel like you can't drop him off the back of that Barnsley game. He was fantastic, really got involved and obviously scored the goal. And you don't want to ruin that. I mean, me, myself, I would love to see a Duke and Deeney partnership. It's got, it's literally got shithouse written all over it. And I'd like to see how they do together. But he is quite one-dimensional. But I suppose the point I raise is, have we ever really been any other way? Like, for a long time, we'd never been any other way. I mean, I can't remember the last time we actually really put many balls in behind defences and score goals. I think the only time you've probably seen that recently at all would be against Luton, but I think everything worked against Luton that day. So, yeah, it's a tough one. It really is a tough one. But for me, I'd probably start off with Duke and Deeney, see how that goes. But if we are lacking that mobility, we know we've got Hogan to fit into that system. And then it would be competition between Duke and Deeney. Obviously, Lico's gone now. He's gone out on loan to Charlton. So I feel like Hogan's only competition would be Anike, because Anike is not really a slow lad. He's a very strong physical lad. And he's got a bit more pace than you think. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, the competition for places. But I feel like Anike's always been viewed as a super sub anyway, because we've seen that he brings that to the table. Probably just needs to sharpen up on his shooting a tiny bit. But we'll see. I think Deeney can help him do that. So moving on from Deeney, but staying on the topic of transfers, if you had to give our business this summer window a rating out of 10, what would it be? Obviously, we've brought in the likes of Graham, Sanderson, we brought back McGree, You got Woods. Well, obviously, you got Castillo, Anike, Deeney, Chong, all sorts. I mean, where do you start? So, what would you rate our business out of 10?
I mean, every year, even like the Harry Redknapp year, I was going, yeah, this is the best transfer window we've ever had. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But I think this has been a sensible one. It's been a sensible one because it's not going to, I don't think everything's going to blow your mind because effectively the transfer fees have been zero.
Yeah.
But to sign Chong on loan, Woods looks like a great midfield addition already. And Troy Deeney to top the lot off. I feel like we've added real good quality while spending nothing. And even the likes of Sanderson, getting McGree back and Graham, people like that, you're not going to sign every player to jump straight in the first team. The most important thing for a lot of teams is squad depth. So I think although they might not be signings that blow you away, we've got them, they're just as important because you look at teams, I don't want to compare us to this team, but it's the best example I could think of. The Tottenham Hotspur always had a problem with this in the transfer window. They'd have a great 11, but they didn't have great backup. You need backup players. And that's why I'd probably go for an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 with Deeney and Chong especially, because Chong has blown me away every game he's played. I just feel lucky that we've got him.
Yeah.
After the Sheffield United away game, I was gutted already that we only had him for another 45 league games.
Literally.
He's great. And actually, to take into account that we've spent nothing and still came out well, I'd probably push it up to a 9, to be fair.
I completely agree. I'd rank it at a 9, and that's also taking all your points, but also comparing it to previous windows. The fact that I'd say we've had really poor windows. We've brought in a lot of players, but they've just not been the right players every time, and most people can see that. Obviously, the Redknapp era, you've got Hotter, who was bang on form at the time. It's like, oh my God, how have we beaten Premier League clubs to signing him? It's like, what? So, and then we all, sort of saw why in the end. But it is what it is. I'd just say overall, this has been the smartest bit of business we've done for a long time. And it's been cost-free. Obviously, you've got wages and all sorts of tiny fees, but no actual big transaction fees. So that's the big positive I take personally. And I would definitely give it a 9. I think you take Deeney out the equation, you'd say 7.5, pushing 8. But Deeney's just added that sort of perfect top into it all, really. So, no, I'm very happy. And I'm just excited for the season. I hope Chong doesn't leave us in January, to be honest.
Fingers crossed.
That worry. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if we're up there, I don't think he would. So we've just got to stay up there, stay challenging. And I think signing Deeney will definitely help us do that. So we'll wait and see anyway. Moving on to previewing the Derby game. It's obviously a Friday night game. Got another 8 days, I think, until that game now. So a fair bit of wait. No one likes an international break. Obviously, the stands have been promised they'll be fixed by the Derby game, but I've got the personal feeling that they won't be, especially having seen that Derby's allocation is 1,000. So there are sort of alarm bells there, but you never know. They might get it fixed, they might not. We can just keep our fingers crossed, really. But it'll be a big game. Derby have actually started better than a lot of teams expected them to, including myself. I didn't expect Derby to start off well whatsoever. But you never know, that points deduction, there could be still one looming for them. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think it would be an easy game. But a good bit of news today was Craig Forsyth has been suspended for 3 games. So, Derby's biggest problem is their squad depth, and they've already had some big injuries already. So hopefully that could really do us a favour. And I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for Blues to get their first home win of the season. What are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, I agree. It'd be a great time because the the combination of everything, like Deeney's first game, and it all leads to, I mean, even if we get some of the Tilton and Cup Open, it would be it'd be the greatest win of the season so far, just for all them outside factors coming into it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But as you say, Derby, you look at it and go that they're in a mess, we should win, but it's never that simple. If anything, they're the games that tend to be our Achilles heel.
Of course.
Because they're a team like Derby, it feels a bit like, I feel like we were a bit better off apart from the points deduction that might happen to them. Feels like that Gary Monk season, when it was us against everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got that feeling they're fighting for everything because they feel like they've been hard done by,
and everyone's doubted them.
It's a
as
banana
well.
skin. Yeah, everyone said they'd be bottom of the league, so it is one of them games that you sort of write them off at your own risk, isn't it?
Exactly. And can you remember the last time we beat Derby at home? Because I can't.
I feel the first vision that came into my head was that last minute winner for them when Gary Rowett came back the first time.
Yeah,
that was the first vision.
They always do well when they come to St Andrews. We get the occasional draw, but it's normally high scoring when they do come over. We've had our wins at Pride Park, but never any luck at St Andrews, unfortunately. Hopefully, in 8 days' time, that curse is broken, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. So I suppose score predictions, and we'll also talk about a lineup. Actually, we'll go lineup first. What would be your ideal 11? Sort of quick fire.
It sounds probably harsh to drop him, but I think now that he's back, Sarkic has done a great job. But he's done nothing to doubt him since the season started. But I feel more comfortable with Etheridge. Everyone will be different. Sarkic has probably got a much better kick than Etheridge. He's better at distributing the ball, possibly. But Neil Etheridge being available, you play Neil Etheridge, in my opinion. And then I think it'll be the back three of Dean, Roberts, Pedersen again, because you can't fault them this season. And then Colin and Jeremy Bella on the left. And then Woods, I'd go Sonic and Chung, obviously.
The decider.
I think Deeney will actually start on the bench, but I would play Djukovic and Deeney.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the exact same lineup as I play, except I have said this before. I do think every club does it. Let's be honest. Whenever you got a new signing, they rarely ever actually start or break into the starting 11. They tend to always be on the bench. It could be different with Deeney because he's not really your average signing. It's quite high caliber for us, so it'd be interesting to see whether he does start. But we have seen both your start players that are brand new. So, we can break that cycle. It wouldn't surprise me because he'd be a good leader to have on the pitch as well as just player. But it's going to be tough. And the only disagreement I'd have would probably be the goalkeeper. A lot of people want Etheridge back, and I want him back as well because he's a much better goalkeeper than Sarkic. But I just fear that this game isn't the right one yet. I feel like maybe just missing one more game. Sarkic has been in good form as well. And, he's got the second best save percentage in the league with 85%. I think it's like 85.4 or something like that. So he's definitely proved his worth to keep holding the gloves. But obviously it's inevitable that Etheridge will come back in the fray. I feel like it's probably just waiting for Sarkic to make a mistake.
He's in a horrible position, I think. I think he's in a horrible position, Sarkic, because he probably knows what's going to happen. So he'll probably end up putting more pressure on himself, to be honest, thinking I can't mess up because I've now got Etheridge there. Could bring out the best or worst of him. But I do agree, to be fair. It's not the biggest issue I have now. After the two friendlies, watching Sarkic, I was thinking we need Etheridge back as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. But Sarkic has really proved to be a decent signing, and he has other elements to his game that he's better at Etheridge, at like his distribution and his sweeper keeper role. But only if Etheridge is ready, obviously, I would play him. Otherwise, I'm not concerned if Sarkic starts. I don't think it will have a difference in the game as such. But somewhere down the line, we all know Etheridge will be back.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think the best game for Etheridge to come back would be the Preston home game on the Wednesday after. So, that would be my choice. And that's down to two little reasons as well. I think Sarkic is much more comfortable coming out to claim the ball from crosses than Etheridge is. I think that's Etheridge's Achilles heel, to be honest, coming out to claim the ball. He does have a bit of butterfingers at times. So, and I think that showed against Derby last season as well. He dropped a couple of corners. Derby's biggest threat will be their aerial threat when they can. And they will make it an ugly game. They won't make it easy. They'll make it tough. And I feel like that would be a good game for Sarkic and not a good game for Etheridge. Whereas you look at the Preston game after, Preston are on and off. They're probably starting to find their feet a little bit, but they're far, far from the finished article under McAvoy at the moment. And they're quite a light squad. And I just feel like with our record against Preston at home as well being fairly good, I just feel like that's the best one for Etheridge to come back for. We'll see. And it'll be a game under the lights. The atmosphere won't be too tense. I just feel like it'd ease him in a little bit better. Whereas Derby might be a bit more feisty. So I'd probably back Sarkic for that one. But either way, I'd be happy to see Neil back in the squad. So we'll wait and see. Just very excited for the game, to be honest. I just hope we can finally beat Derby at home for a change. I feel like this is probably the best chance we've got to do it. So hopefully we can. But I suppose that leads us on to score predictions. I'll start off real quick. I'm going to be confident, and I am going to say 2-0 Blues.
I like it.
So
I like
feel
it.
like it's risky, but I'm going to go for it. Fairly confident, but you never know. It probably might come back and bite me, to be honest. I'm going to go Deeney to score on his debut.
I hope so.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm also going to go Harley Dean to bag as well. Bag a header from a corner or something.
Yeah.
That's me and my goal scorers and predictions. What about you, mate?
I normally go for the generic, probably the most predicted result in the world, 2-1 win. But I'm going to go for, I think we'll keep a clean sheet because our defence, I haven't been able to fault them at all, really. But I'll go 1-0 win. I think these are the sort of games. I think teams start to work out Blues as a few games go by season past. And I think they might make it tough by sitting back and hoping that we can't break them down. And we're yet to see, really, if we can do that, aren't we? I mean, our best way is still, and it always has been, is counter-attacking. So, and I think that's why we tend to do better away from home than we do at home. But I'll go 1-0. I think it'll be a tight game. And I'd pay a lot of money for a Troy Deeney winner, but I'm going for Mark Roberts. I'll go for Mark Roberts ahead.
I back that. I think Mark Roberts he had a great season last season, and I think he's certainly brought that into this season. He's probably only had the one little hiccup against Bournemouth, but other than that, he's been a much, much improved player. Definitely one of the most improved over the last year or so. So, I back Robbo to score. He's definitely been in the goals more of late. So, be interesting. I like that. Anyway, that wraps things up. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in and joined. You might see me again, you might not. Just a temporary stand-in host, but if I'm asked to return, then I happily will. But it's been great. I just say thank you to everyone for having me. But no, I really enjoyed it. Cheers for joining me as well, Dan.
No trouble. Thanks for covering.
No worries, mate. Really enjoyed it. Coolio. Right. We'll see how the Derby game goes and whatnot. Hopefully we can get a win. And as always, keep right on.